Well, hello. This is Guided Counsel, not Golden Counsel, but Guided Counsel, and we present Mary Elizabeth. And Mary Elizabeth, I met in doing the psychic events, and the first time I met her, we didn't get a chance to talk because it was so busy in Thousand Oaks that everyone was action packed. I mean, I think that even if the janitor had a table, he probably would have made some sort of profit because it was that intense on in that day on Thousand Oaks. But when we went to the Santa Barbara area, I got an opportunity to sit down with her, and you cannot miss her because she has all this pink bling all around her. And I was like, who is this woman? She's like pinked out. And I had to go meet you. And I dragged my friend Diane. I'm like, we're gonna go meet this person. She looks like totally cool. Her and her friend Wanda, let's meet them. And we have since then developed a friendship that I really honor. And thank you so much, Mary Elizabeth, for joining.
Thanks.
Always tell the story of how we did a Woe Bundy at the end of the day, and sparks flew, but I'll get to that later on. So, but what I want to do, you are known as ME, the Incorporated Medium. Can you explain that?
Okay, what basically ME stands for Mary Elizabeth, but I am an incorporated medium, which means I don't channel energy, I embody the energy. So whatever realm may come through, but basically when I sit down or I am speaking the voice of we, which is your higher self talking back to you. That's the easiest way to explain that. It is your truth speaking back to you, telling you what it is you need, where it is you need to be, and how to get there. We is definitely one that does not hold its opinion, and it brings forth all the energy of the universe in the oneness of all things that comes through and speaks directly through me. So sometimes you'll notice an interchange of conversation. I'll be speaking, we steps in, vice versa.
Yes, and I found that very interesting because to me, I would call it channeling because that's what I do when I channeled my entities from the higher dimensions. And for me, it's more of the classical way of doing it, I would say, not knowing anything else different, is the Esther Hicks or Bashar, where you get into a meditative state and you hit out gamma theta waves, and then all of a sudden you are in a trance, or I am in a trance where I just speak as the higher self. And I am just the vessel. I am just speaking. They're using my voice. The language that's being used is very common to what I use, but I think it's more eloquent. There's some words I'm like, whoa, that's not me. It's not part of my vocabulary. But and that's how I do the mediumship or the channeling. And I guess that gives me another question. When you call yourself the medium, because I guess in a regular environment, a medium would be talking to spirits, those loved ones that have transitioned on. So what would be the difference between spirits on the other side, or you being a higher self?
Well, with what I do channel those who have passed on. I do channel the angelic realm. I do channel alien-esque energy. But the embodiment of we, of the higher self, is basically a channel. The energy incorporates into the channel, where as an incorporated medium, I am embodied into the energy of the oneness. So that it's hard for me to explain because it's hard for me to understand. I just know they keep telling me that is the difference. So I go with it. But I don't go into a trance basically, hello, 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 my dear. We are here, we are here, we are here. And we would like this opportunity to interrupt if you do not mind.
Go for it. I was waiting for this.
Yes, here we are, here we are. We were going to let Emmy stumble through, but sometimes it's easier if we just speak. So this moment in time, we are here to speak through your divine, to allow you to see and understand the absolute connectiveness of all things. We are the oneness. We are source energy. We are the creator. God, if you please. We are your higher self, you see, because you are all divine in your energy.
Thank you. How can one become or get in touch with their higher self? What is the easiest way for a person who's just hearing this and is interested? What would be the basic steps for that person?
The easiest way is to reach out to Emmy and we'll speak through. That is the easiest way. But in self-reflection and self-meditation, there is a space of understanding that comes through. You are all intuitive beings, you see. So what we would say, it all comes from breath energy. When you take a breath and then you slowly release, you pull into your divine energy. We exist in this moment, you see, and the breath is the moment. So you take a breath in and very slowly release.
And why are we having such, I guess, influx or maybe a flare of people getting in touch with their higher selves? What's the main reason why this is happening now?
Because your world is in a spot of confusion, you see, a spot of misunderstanding that they are different than me. That is the pervasive thought process that is running through. And you are all different, you see. That is your greatest commonality. In this moment in time, you are each divine, but yet in your human form, you are different as different can be. But when you focus on the difference as if it's something to fear instead of something to embrace, you create a pendulum swing. And as of late, once again, humanity has gone into that space of fear energy. And when we say fear, all it is a belief of something that is not true, a belief of something that is a manipulation of faith energy, which is an understanding that all will be exactly as it's meant to be. In fear, you see, with what is happening, there has come a need over the last century to adjust humanity. And in the last 12 years, there has been an uptick in energy and a connection you all seek in that space of expansion, you see, because expansion is needed to save humanity. To put that bluntly, you are on a timeline, you see, because throughout your history, you come to this space frequently, and we always have to come through with an adjustment, utilizing means that can be catastrophic, you see. But in this time, we are trying to shift the mind, shift the understanding, and allow others to understand their own truth instead of the collective truth. And that truth is they are divine and they are the creator in their mind, in their body, in their essence, you see. So when they allow this energy to be and you all expand into a higher frequency, you begin to heal and move from the space of fear to faith. Right now, a dual point of polarity, you're tipping towards fear too extreme. So we are trying to bring forth a balancing. For in balance, you see, is your center point. In balance, you see, is your self-understanding. In balance, you are connected to your divinity.
And how is that looking for us as a whole, as a collective? As as I channel and I get my information, who I resonate a lot and speak to, whom I feel is Thoth, who is the sage, who is the god of wisdom, and I get this information. It seems that we're heading in the right direction, but it's going to take a few lifetimes before we can actually grasp that concept of balancing and everyone can be on the same wavelength, as far as we're all divine and we're all part of oneness. We are all God.
Mm-hmm.
Is
You're
that the
all God
same?
experiencing life as you,
Mm-hmm.
as individual as can be. Each of you are an experience for God. For that understanding, when you get to that place, you can give others grace as well as yourself. Do you understand what we mean? And when you say there are lifetimes, there are generations, you see, the timing is sooner than you believe, where you have tipped to such an extreme, which is why so many were created and have been born in this time to shift that frequency, because it's been a path that has been repeated many times throughout your history. And we, in anticipation, are looking for a new way to allow you to move forward and to elevate humanity. You see, the earth will always be, the earth will always win. The earth is part of universal balance, you see. So there really is nothing you can do to take the earth out, but she will take you out.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense to say? And so what we say here is, when you all can come into that place of loving understanding, judgment free. And that all begins with how you look at the person you call me. Do you understand? And thankfully, in this time, so many of you are embracing this space, and you are lovingly giving energy to others. What we ask is that you turn that energy into you. Because sometimes, many times, okay, 99.9% of the time, your worst enemy is the person looking back at you in the mirror, you see. And it's not your truth speaking, it's the voice of others. So when you can shift this energy, the timeline that we see, which is literally only generations, my dear, 2 to be specific, can shift exponentially. And this is the year of more, 2024, your year of more. Which are you going to choose? That which uplifts or that which diminishes you?
So now I have a different question related,
Yes.
but
Mm-hmm.
so from my understanding, the earth at itself, because of the higher frequencies that we're receiving, the electromagnetic waves that we're getting, the poles shifting, and so we have ascended, or towards the ascension of 4D, fourth density. And so, and it's considered the new earth, where the earth will still exist as the 3D that we know in a parallel dimension, I guess. So for the folks that maybe do not get it in this generation or lifetime, who are still struggling with, not finding the divine selves, when they reincarnate, they will reincarnate into that version, or the past version, or what we consider that version or now, of the earth, until they finally get that lesson, per se, because we all come in with our soul contracts, with our lessons to learn. And then the rest of us who are actively working towards the healing and finding our divine inner selves, then we will continue on this new earth path. Is that a correct statement, that there's like another earth in a parallel universe where those that still need to learn go?
Let's put this in a different perspective. Okay, there are many who believe what you just brought through, and in essence there is some truth, but let's speak of the individual soul for a moment, if that is okay. And basically, as you come into each lifetime, you see, you move into a higher frequency. Do you understand what that means? So
Yes.
as you are in a higher residence, you see, there is a opportunity to step into the fullness of the understanding you bring. When you speak earlier of connecting to higher self, that is just connecting to that space of full understanding. That is a space that is judgment free. So as each soul ascends, you see, it is about that soul's journey, not the human process of existence. That soul can exist here on this plane, but can also exist in other realms of energy too. Does that make sense to you? So when one passes from this into the next, they are in the spirit realm unless they have moved into the next realm of energy. And as you move through, you are in that existence of all knowing of where you have been and who you have been. But most importantly, you come through not so much to learn a lesson. You are created specifically for an experiencing of what your choice will bring. Do you understand what that means?
Yes.
So your choice, you see, is really only one choice. In this moment, who will I be? Will I choose my kindness and integrity and allow that to lead? Or will I allow fear and manipulation to be the voice of me? And what that simply means is, can you stand in your truth? Because in your truth, you are all perfect. Do you understand that? And there is no judgment there. But what happens so many times is you start to compare. But that is going off your question. So let's go back to that. Are there multiple realms of existence? Yes. Is it a alternative universe? Not really. It's just a different level of frequency that the soul is experiencing. Does that make sense?
So I think I need a little bit of clarification. What happens? I understand the soul transition. What happens to the vessel transition?
The vessel, as you know, ceases to exist, and it goes into dust to dust, to be simplified as method can be. The soul moves into each new experiencing intentionally. There is a plan for all things, and in each and every moment, creation is happening. So though there is a plan, it shifts and moves based on the choices for each and every one of you. So the vessel, is that what you mean by the body? Is that what you mean by vessel, my dear? Yes. When the vessel ceases to be, it goes back into the earth's energy. And it feeds the earth in a way that you are all here to do. You understand? Now, from soul to soul creation, or from life to life incarnation, the structure, or the DNA structure, so to speak, and this is going to tweak a few brains because we won't go into it completely, but that does carry through in that energy. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the sequencing. So when you speak of generational karmic energy, that is because of that transitioning into the energy field versus the physicality. So that actually would be an answer to what happens to the vessel. The vessel, skin and bone, deteriorates. The DNA structuring of that vessel moves into the energy field for its inflow.
Okay, so that makes sense from what I'm hearing, because the one of the messages I got a while ago, not recently, was that the karma, the generational karma that we're clearing out now, for those of us that are aware, and we're dealing with individual karma, generational karma, and collective karma. So we are getting slammed, with all of this to process and integrate. But as the vessel dies, right, and if they decide to reincarnate, they no longer have to start from scratch in the evolution of these karma generations, start from scratch in where they have zero memory. They will come back because their DNA will be restructured accordingly with some memory, or more memory than before. So we don't have to start from scratch. So we're seeing the end of this generational karma, from past lives or what have you. And as we proceed moving forward, is going to be a new chance with coding, DNA coding that has been manipulated to match as best as possible, to the current new frequency. And so, but there's still the free will, right? And so that's where the mind comes in, and that person, that vessel, who, even though has been upgraded in the next life, still has these free will, will still have free will, and will still have all the regular 3D things that we're going through, but at a higher frequency. Is that a correct statement?
In a manner of speaking, yes. The only tweak we would say in the free will, again, one choice, who will I be in this moment in time? Kindness and integrity or manipulation? As for, you never, ever, ever start from scratch, you see. You come through specifically to see how, as you say, we are all God experiencing. So as God, you see, there is an absolute understanding and knowing. So there is fullness of knowledge of all things in the soul's energy. The only difference in soul's energy is where it is vibrating in its frequency. So where it fits in the flow of all things. And as it ascends into each lifetime, you see, there's a movement of a higher vibration. And as the vibration comes through and the frequency elevates, you have greater ability to tap into that knowledge of all things. Does that make sense?
Yes, because we all already all know it. We just have to remember it, right? That's the purpose of us, is to try to remember it. Right. Okay.
The purpose is to honest and true, the purpose of humanity. Humanity, you see, if you look up the meaning, is kindness and gratitude towards others. That is the meaning. And that is what you are all here to do, because when you can get to that space, the acceleration needed for full understanding will be there. But so many are choosing to believe the lie that fear brings. And in doing so, you are not allowing your soul that ease of acceleration. Does that make sense? That ease of lift.
So I have, and this is my own assumption, just based on, different things that I listen to, and also my own intuition, that the amount of us who are out speaking, who are out presenting ourselves as of service to other people, is the population of that is very small compared to the whole world. We're a world of 8 billion people, and we're only this big compared to the whole 8 billion. And it is our job in this generation to plant the seeds. And for those who are willing to come on this journey with us, to grab them wholeheartedly and move them up along with us. And those who are not ready, it's just leading by example and planting the seeds. How do you view the size of us versus the world?
You've heard the expression, all it takes is faith the size of a mustard seed. One person, you see, can impact all of humanity, because in your vibrational frequency, you are affecting each and every human being on this planet with the choice you make. In each and every moment in time, you are affecting the frequency of all of humanity. The number of those created to move into that space of, we hate this expression, but we will use it in the moment, enlightened energy, because guess what? You are all in light. But understand that in that connecting to the truth of oneself, that allows an accelerated healing to be a cosmic, karmic healing, so to speak. And the space of energy that it takes for shift to be is literally just a speck, you see. So even though your numbers many see as small, that is not true. Each time somebody chooses their truth and standing in their integrity and kindness, you see, they are planting the seed. And this is the generation that is here to plant the seed for the next generation, who will teach their children how to be where you all are now. Does that make sense? How
Yes.
they can shift the energy. We highly, highly recommend that anyone who has a child under the age of 3, that they start teaching them how to breathe. For in breath, you see, they pull in their divine energy. And as they do, they see the world as only children do, from a space of endless possibility. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Like Whitney Houston said, I believe the children are our future.
Exactly. And it is this generation's task to plant the seeds, and you will shift many as you do immediately. But it literally comes in threes. There will be, out of 100 people, 33 who instantaneously believe. And then there will be 33, maybe 34 who, not too sure, but it sounds interesting. I'll follow it through. And then there will be 33 who do not believe you, who think you are, as Emmy hears often, crazy. Do you see what we mean? But the power of 3 is needed for balance to be. Think of the Trinity.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes, I'm actually, and that makes perfect sense because I'm getting really more involved with the Merkaba activation, and it's all about when you're doing work, it's better in threes because you have the mother, father, and child, right? So it's always to work in that trinity of 3. So that makes perfect sense, at least for me, as I'm actually working through that process right now.
Do you know how we look at that? We
Go
look
ahead.
at that as the Trinity of you and me and we. So it is the separateness of, or you could say it them, me, and we. Because in the collective, you are all one. You all come to that space of we. But there is a definite in human existence, the difference. It's that understanding that that difference is the perfect thing that creates an opportunity to grow within yourself when you allow someone who is different into your view, and to allow yourself to have a conversation and see that they are just like you.
Diversity, that's always been key, welcoming everybody's differences and learning from them, not dismissing them and learning from them. And Emmy's absolutely right. That's why I love the psychic events, because that's where I personally feel normal. Everybody else outside of these
Mhm.
events, I'm just waiting for them to catch up to us. We're like, okay, we know what's up, we know what's going on. And yes, this might be, very out there for many people, but we're just waiting for you to catch on.
Here's the thing we will say, my dear, because this is very important, and we appreciate your willingness to put yourself out on a platform where others can speak, and for giving us an opportunity to speak too. But what we want to say, and we want to say it loud and clear, just speak your truth, and those who are meant to will hear. And those, again, who may not be clear, you will still plant a seed that may bloom in a month, but it may be 10 years, you see. And again, those who will never believe, but yet you have shifted their DNA structure in your resonance. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes,
So as you,
everything holds an activation code for sure.
exactly. So
Mhm.
as you move into the next generation, that healing is already there. That ascending energy is moving more swiftly. And as you see, and if you watch these little screens that we are speaking on here, if you watch them and we watch ME, there are a number of children coming through with such divine wisdom, speaking their truth. And it is that generation whose key is to save their children, you see.
Yes.
Because where you are now, it is your children's children's children
Mm-hmm.
that will be the last to walk this plane. If you do not allow yourselves to find that space of understanding and to understand with full integrity that they are no different than me.
That you just validated exactly as far as the generations, the information that I have. And I can tell you right now, my children who are 6 and 8, they tell me some stuff so profound, and I just
Mhm.
keep them, you keep using your imagination. Does that feel right to you? What does your gut say? What does your heart say? To start nurturing that type of mentality, especially as they're going through school. And school is where the programming is, right?
Yes,
Not only the
yes.
school, but now it's the media, it's the games, it's everything. What I like about the technology, the games, is that it helps a lot with the problem solving as well as imagination, because it took imagination to create those games. So for me, I feel like it's a nice blend, but it has to be in moderation. At the same time, foster regular imagination through reading, through journaling, through just talking. And yes, I did get the same as far as the, children's children as a time, and that's going to be, finally we've made it that point. Do you think we are on the path for that? Like we can actually meet that
If we
trajectory?
did if we did not believe that you could, we would not be here speaking. Do you understand that?
Mm-hmm.
If we did not believe that it was possible, we would not come through and share all the knowledge and energy that is coming through with, in truth, millions of you. And as the expansion becomes extreme, you will see a pushback in the opposite energy. So the catastrophic energy that the earth will bring, as well as the actions of humanity, is just a pushback against the expansion, you see. So you
Mm-hmm.
can't be distracted by that energy. You just have to understand, this is why I'm here. This is what I must do. And you cannot allow yourselves to get stuck in the news, so to speak. We always say to Emmy, put the phone away, step away from the news, because the news, though important to know some things, there is such a tilt towards fear energy because it's what sells, you see. It's the energy that, unfortunately, more people seek. Because truth is, life is exactly as it's meant to be. And in this moment in time, even that nobody said life will be perfect. Please understand that. Nobody said life will not have hardships. Please understand that too, because you are here to experience. And what would the experience be if it was all
Right. There
without
would be.
the ups
Right.
and downs? There would be no experiencing. And the difference between you and ME is your DNA structure, is your physicality, is your age, is all things. It is where you came into this world in a different time than she.
Mm-hmm.
How is that experience different for you than for ME? You are in a space where you are in a time in your youth, and just so you know, that's how we look at you, my dear, in your youth, that you are in a space where it is a little more acceptable to be who you are than it was for ME. Do you understand what we mean?
Yes.
But in retrospect, sometimes, just sometimes, because it is more well seen in your generation than in hers, there is in your society a space of judgment that can be extreme. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And that is simply the fear energy rearing its head against the light. We won't say the dark against the light. It's literally 2 points of polarity. So what we will say is it's literally versus faith, which we will call light, and fear, we could say dark, but dark is not even true, you see.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a space of false. So instead of light, truth. So stand in your truth, shine your truth, allow that truth to lead, and share the knowledge, even for those who look at you like you might just be a little strange, my dear. We don't think so, but others may. Do you see what we mean?
Yes, I do.
But share with ease, and we are so proud of you for stepping forward as you have chosen to do, and for bringing forth this knowledge for others to hear. You are impactful. You are important. We honor you. Thank you, my dear.
Thank you. And that's it. You just touched on something very sensitive on in one of the presentations that I did in front of an audience. As I was channeling, people were really engaged in this moment. And I got the question, why do we have these wars going on? It breaks my heart as an empath. I just can't even turn on the TV without bawling, knowing that all these people are dying, for no reason. And the message that I got for them was they came in knowing that that was going to be their role. And the best thing that we can do is honor their death and not let it go in vain, because they did it for a purpose, because it has to be done. And that is very hard for many of us to just ingest, because it's like, what, you're getting killed in purpose? Like, how? That doesn't make sense. That's so brutal. Why is that? But it's a story that has happened time and time and time again through all of our history. But without that, we don't have growth, is essentially what happened. And this is where Mother Gaia is recalibrating herself. We're going through this process again. So it's for a reason, per se. And the best thing that we can do is honor these people that have put themselves, voluntarily, involuntarily in the line and they pass away. And that's very hard for people to understand and accept. What are your thoughts on that?
You actually hit a few points that we would like to address there. First and foremost, when people die, we understand that there is a sadness here, that those who feel the energy, is feeling the energy of loss. And loss, you see, is not the person who has left this earthly plane. They are in a space of joyous energy. Loss is literally, and grief is literally what we would call one of an emotion that is somewhat selfish, you see. Because if you think of the person who has passed, they are in a space of full understanding and absolute joy. Just ask any who channel those who have passed. There is a space of understanding that is beyond amazing. So, in that knowledge, when we feel bad for those who've been killed, we look at it from what we perceive their life was meant to be. Does that make sense? So
Yes.
when a child dies, or as horrific as that is for those standing by, that child has fulfilled their life's journey. You all come to this plane with an expiration date. And sometimes you come specifically to die in a certain way. Do you understand what we mean?
Yes.
And for others, your death is a means of opportunity to ensure that that expiration timeline will be met. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Still, when these catastrophic and horrific events are happening, war, you see, is simply a space of fear energy. It is created from the space of greed. All wars, despite what people believe, come from the space of greed. If you follow the path, you will see it's all about the money and the power. It has nothing to do with the religion. It has nothing to do with the land, you see. It's all about power. And those who die horrifically, it is a horrendous thing, and the pain of it for those left behind is extreme. But for those who have died, there's no need to feel bad for them, for they have moved into the next phase of life, which is better than you can possibly conceive. But understand, too, that when things happen in mass numbers, there is a rebalancing that needs to be. You need one extreme for the other to rise, for balance to be. And when you are so far out of alignment, more catastrophic events will happen, you see, because the more catastrophes humanity experiences, the more willing they are to see their neighbor compassionately. Does that make sense?
Yes. And I think a lot of that has to do with attachment, right? I mean, if it's your child that dies, you can't help but feel those emotions because you're here to experience those emotions, because in the other side, it's just pure bliss. So we're here to experience and transmute. So yeah, it's I think it's a very hard concept. I mean, it's logically it's easy to understand, but the implementation of it is very hard to do, especially when it affects you personally.
Yes. I'm going to jump in because that struck a chord with me when it comes to grieving. Hi, everybody. It's me, M.E.
Welcome back.
Thanks. When it comes to grieving, it's not that we shouldn't grieve, because we've lost someone dear to us. We've lost what we perceive, because when we look at another person in our life, we see the potentiality, we see the possibilities. And when they're taken away, those possibilities cease to be. And in that, we do grieve. But I will say, me personally, my gifts I've had my whole life. They expanded about 12 years ago after the deaths of both my parents and my husband. And when my parents died, I was quite surprised at the way my sisters grieved versus how I grieved. Was I sad? Absolutely. Do I feel the loss still? Yes, I do. I have moments where I just still want to pick up the phone and talk to my mom. She's been gone, since 2011. So not a possible thing to do, but I don't grieve her because she's still here.
Mm-hmm.
If you understand that. So knowing that, it makes it easier to let go of the possibility because now they're just here in a different way and they're still part of our lives. So knowing that is just totally shifted my perspective on death. Not to say that, God forbid, I were to lose my daughter, it wouldn't devastate me. Of course it would, because we have dreams that we put on our children,
Mm-hmm.
which is what we do as humans. We put on our children. And to see little children in war-torn areas and their suffering is heart-wrenching. Heart-wrenching. And what can we do and how can we fix? And how can nobody see what we are doing to humanity? And so many do see, but don't know what to believe or how to fix it. And how do you fix it? You be nice to the next person that comes in your view. You can't help somebody on the other side of the world immediately, but you can help that next person you meet. And sharing that energy, my dear, is what you all need to hear. You may not be able to help a child in a war-torn area right now, and we won't be specific, but you all know where we speak.
Mm-hmm.
But you can help a child in your neighborhood. You can help a child that you happen to just meet in a store. And how do you do that? With ease. You show kindness. For in kindness, the world starts to shift its energy and it reverberates like the ripples in an ocean, and it reaches that child in a way that you may never know. But trust us when we say it has an impact.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I started up this podcast, because we are what I consider ME and myself regular people who have a capacity to help others through kindness, in any which way or form. And I still have faith in humanity. I still have, I'm a hopeless romantic. I still believe that love conquers all and everything. So, and I know that I'm not the only one, which is why I invite people that I know, like you guys, to come, because we are just trying our best to extend that lending hand in any way possible, to share, whether it's just a token of kindness, to collaborate. Because for me, the messages were loud and clear through my messaging, is that this is the year for us to
Come together.
collaborate in any which way we can, to
Yes.
help each other out,
Yeah.
as individuals, as groups, and just to push on this concept of kindness and love to reach Christ consciousness. And that's a very, what I consider an uphill battle for a lot of people. For some of us, it's becoming easier and easier, and others are still an uphill battle. Forgiveness is a huge one, right? Finding the forgiveness in something, especially when it comes to deaths, children or what have you. But and that's the main goal of this, is to help everybody, whoever listens to this, help that grieving process. It struck a chord with ME. It's probably going to strike a chord with someone else. How do I process, I just lost my child, I just lost my mother, I just lost my grandfather, that type of situation. And as a medium, I know this because I can talk to my mom whenever I want. I can talk to my grandma, and I can laugh with them and I can have full blown conversations with them, because I have been able to expand that ability and have that type of a conversation, just like you and I are having, you know, knowing that they're there, that I never lost them. And I know them better and I have a better relationship because it comes out of all the BS is gone. And now it's just
Exactly.
pure love and compassion.
Yes, they have an absolute understanding of all things. And one of the interesting aspects that we have seen as ME channels is the human in front of her has an expectation of what their loved one's response should be. And we are always amazed because they think they should still be angry. They think they should still be judgmental. And there is none of that here, you see. There is none of that in the fullness of all things. In the fullness of all things, there is pure understanding. So there is joy. There is excitement. An example, one woman sat in front of her and her mother came through and she asked her mother about her sister and her mother said, well, I understand. And I send my love to her. And the woman literally blew up in front of Emmy, screaming that she was not real because her mother would never feel that way. No, not in her human form. She would not. But in her soul's energy, you can't be anything else but loving and understanding. So to know that you have that capability here on this earthly plane, you each have the ability to connect, you asked earlier, to your higher self. It's just your truth. Your truth is you are a soul who has absolute knowing and understanding of all things. And if you can allow yourself to accept that and to feel the freedom that brings, it's a freedom of judgment. Instead of looking in the mirror and saying, eh, as ME does occasionally, what we would say is look in the mirror and say, hey, hello, beautiful, I am here, and turn and walk away. Because we understand you can't all stay in that space energetically for too long a time without shifting into the voices in your mind. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So today, we want to encourage each and every one of you to stand in your truth, share your gifts, allow yourself to be the woo-woo that others may refer to you as. Exactly. That's how we see it. Woo, woo. Take it to the next level. Share as you do. Come together in unity and allow each other wings to fly, you see. Because when you give another permission to be true to who they are, you shift the pendulum swing to a point of center energy. And that is all you need. One person at a time.
One person at a time. That's, I know I get frustrated because I'm like, oh my God, don't you get it? Like, but I get it. It's everyone is their own journey, their own pace. I love this stuff. So I'm in it like 100% of my day, of my night. I live it, breathe it. I love it. I love meeting all of you. You guys are my tribe. And I just love it. And I wish that people would come more to these events because that's the type of adversity that we need to be exposed of. Because outside of those rooms, of those walls, we don't know color, we don't know race, ethnicity, gender. None of that exists because we are all one and we all understand it. Now
Yeah.
it's just how you carry yourself. Do you have integrity or do you not? And that's
And
the judgment.
that's the key in when you come together in events as you do. In the room, 97.6% are true. 97.6% are true. Others are in a space of desperation and maybe putting forth an energy to see what it is I can get, what's here for me. If you can all just stay in the space of understanding that when you are in a room, it may just be for one person you see. It may just be for another vendor. And you may not get what some come to expect in a monetary way. But as you're there, you will be rewarded for the effort to bring through your truth and allow another to see their truth in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it's about
And
supporting.
in doing so, unfortunately, for many of you in your society, you focus on that percentage that is small, that is negative.
Yeah.
So it expands exponentially in the view of others. So when you are in a room and you see those in the room that are not standing in their truth, send them love and light and just do you. Because you are the one who will shift humanity. You are the one who will plant the seed for them to see who they used to be. Do you understand?
Yes, and we don't want their bad juju anyway, so you got to just wipe it off.
Yeah.
All the uglies off, let them be them. They're going to do them. They're going to attract the people who are meant to be attracted to them and honor that. And the people that are meant for you will be attracted to you just naturally.
And that is imperative. And we ask that all who are in this view, in this moment in time, that they take a moment to step into one of these events and allow themselves to feel a connection come through. And they may walk through a room once and go, nothing feels right to me, but they have to understand they're not the only one in the room. So they need to give themselves at least 3 passes through where they stop and observe or stop and speak to connect as they're meant to. Because they are there specifically too for a reason. There is no coincidence, you see. There are no accidents and there are no mistakes. Everything comes together perfectly. So when you can accept that to be true, just say, okay, universe, show me what it is I need to see. And if you're willing to listen, endless possibility.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you experienced this one time when we were together. There was a gentleman who was really trying to test the validity of what does we stand for. And I know that we held up very graciously and very eloquently. And I believe the man came out convinced.
Yeah.
Was that an accurate account?
The interesting thing is once people hear that we is God speaking through, that puts up a whole belief system being challenged.
Mm-hmm.
And as I always say, why do we think God stopped talking 2023 years ago? God speaks every day through each and every one of us. So if we allow ourselves to expand into the energy of knowing that this is just your energy speaking through me. So even when I do energy work, I'm healing another. It's their energy healing themselves. And the moment they can understand that connection that we truly are, and this is really the hardest thing to understand. In our society, we're taught that God is out there.
Mm-hmm.
God is out there. And then we can now all say God is within all things. God is within all things. That makes sense. But to say God is me, I literally remember being a little kid saying that to my mother, and boy, did I get yelled at. Like, who the heck are you? Oh my God, blasphemy, the whole thing. But that understanding, though we can say it logically, The hardest thing is to connect to that within and know it to be true. At least that's where I still have moments of struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I'll say, God help me, and then I go, oh, help me, pay attention here, Mare. You know, it's that readjustment of the mind. So understanding that in all we do, we are just here tweaking the belief system,
Yeah.
tweaking the belief system, tweaking the belief system. There's a big difference between a knowing, an understanding, and a belief. And beliefs come about by the age of 3, and we stand firm in our beliefs. We stand firm in our beliefs. And when we try to buck up against those beliefs, Fred, as anybody who doesn't know, the voice in my head is Fred.
Mine's Charlie.
Yeah, see? Yeah, exactly. I just say, shut up, Fred. That's just the lies we've been taught, who we were told we were supposed to be, all that noise. To shut that up and allow yourself to just be in that space of knowing. When you come up against a belief that you've held for a long time, just shut up, Fred, and then say, why do I believe that is true? And is it serving me in this moment? Because when you realize our beliefs don't always serve us, I'm 63. I had to think about that. I'm 63.
And you look fabulous, by the way.
Oh, thank you, my dear. And I've had beliefs since I was 3. So some of those beliefs no longer serve me. And I finally understand that. I finally understand that belief that I was broken because of the gifts I had, that there was something wrong with me. I finally understand that is not true. This is who I was made to be. And when we can accept that, there's nothing we can't do. And together, when you get a group of people who are in that space of understanding that they get to be who they were born to be instead of who others told them to be, endless possibility. And we can just shift and shift and shift and shift. And in doing so, we're going to lose a few on the way because they can't move into that frequency. But that's okay. Love them anyway.
And that's a good segue to the experience that I shared with you as far as how electrifying and how true this is. And I can tell my friends this, but they wouldn't understand me. So I don't even tell them anything. So when the 4 of us got together, we put our hands in kind of to do like a whoa Bundy type of situation. We had an energy exchange. And I'll always, and I'm embellishing, but I'm embellishing because it's funny, but it's also because it's partly true. The energy was so crazy that my butt cheeks were clapping on their own. So I was saying that I was involuntarily twerking. We all started speaking in light language. And to this day, I know that I wasn't sure like what was said, but I felt it because light language is a language of empathy. So you feel it. There are no words to describe or to translate light language. But just to put things into perspective, it was a huge energy where I was shivering. I think you were giving us energy, and then we were, transferring energy for, I would imagine, light activation at that point towards with the other folks within that circle. And it was so amazing to have experienced that, because after everything was said and done, I looked around and I was like, did anybody else see that? But everybody was too busy, packing up their stuff or already gone. And I'm like, who would have believed this if we were in some other place? But it's real, and it's so real, and it's more real when you have like full faith in it, that it does. There is magic. There is Harry Potter. You are a superhero. We are capable of so many things, but we have Fred and Charlie to keep us down. It's not even the man that keeps us down. It's our brain, the ego that keeps us down.
Yeah. Which, by the way, is very much tinged by the male energy of your society. Your rules are taught to keep the feminine energy down. because the source of healing for humanity comes from the divine feminine. You are all God, the divine feminine. And we're going to throw this in and we're going to say it loud and clear. God, the Son of God, who was Jesus's mother.
Mary?
The Son of God. Do
Well,
with that
Mother
as you
Gaia.
will.
She's in control. She has us. She can destroy us, but she has the power to destroy us. But yet she nurtures us with the trees that give us the oxygen in this whole ecosystem. Right? So, I mean, it makes sense.
Mother Mary is God. Do you understand that? Mother Mary is God. Mother Mary, the creator, is the divine feminine. And you, in that moment in time, in that story you just relayed, as we laid hands together, that what you felt was a reflection of your truth. Do you understand that?
Yes.
That's all we did. We amped the energy so that you could feel the truth of the power that is you. And that is what you each experienced in that moment in time. Because Emmy is more like a mirror than anyone can possibly believe. That this energy you see is just you speaking back at you.
I'm not gonna lie. I walked out of there thinking I was Dragon Ball Z, throwing balls of energy at people like pew, pew.
Trust me, I do it all the time. I'll be walking around, I'll go like this. People think I'm waving. No, I'm just helping you. I can feel it. I know what you're going through. So that's how you and I may do it energetically, but that's how we do it too. And the kindness we convey. It's the same thing. We're putting out the energy another needs to see their truth exponentially.
Oh, that's beautifully said. What would be like a closing statement or message that either ME or we would like to give to the collective?
We will speak in this moment in time, and we will ask that each and every one of you understand that this is true. You are divine. There is nothing in you that will ever be less than any other human being. Understand too that the love that you bring starts with you. Because when you can love yourself, that is the only time your love for others is true. So embrace this package you see. Embrace your thoughts readily. And never, ever, ever fear.
Oh, you're cutting out a little bit.
Never, ever, ever fear that you are not enough. And allow yourself to see that you are the divine. You are the source. You are God, if you please.
Yes, thank you so much. It's a work in progress for all of us, but I have full faith that through all of our efforts, we will all get there sooner than later.
You are on the trajectory to heal.
Yes. And this also means love your enemies.
Exactly. Well, let's put it this way. Don't look at them as enemies. Look at them as someone who needs love to shift into their full potentiality. That doesn't mean you have to stay in their sphere. It just means you have to send them love and let them be.
Yes. Let them be, give them their space, and just keep wishing them well. Yes. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Absolutely, my dear.
ME, I cannot wait to see you again February. If you want to get a hold of Mary Elizabeth and talk to I'm going to have all the details put in the description for you with her links so you can contact them directly. And it was a pleasure. Thank you so much again. And I cannot wait to work with you again.
Thank you, my friend. I'm looking forward to seeing you in Oxnard. Come on out, everybody. Come see us. Talk to you soon, my dear. Love you.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.